All right, so starting off in the 2023 Toyota Supra 3.0 manual transmission, and this is the premium model, so it has all the cool stuff. Let's go for a drive. Okay, so you can probably tell by the smile on my face that I've had so much fun with this car in the last week. I don't even really know where to begin. So I feel like the Supra has had a lot of, I don't know, online drama or hate about it because of, I mean, the name is so legendary, especially because of the famous Supra, generation from the Fast and Furious movies back in the day, or the first few, and then it's resurgence with BMW. I mean, it's been belabored. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of cut to the chase. That all of the haters just need to go freaking drive one of these because it's such a good car. There are some drawbacks and some weaknesses, which I will talk about, but overall, I purposefully didn't look at the window sticker at the Monroney here for almost a week, and I've put 262 miles on this. So I'll have put 300 miles on this by the time that this review is done, basically. And I purposely didn't look at the Monroney because I didn't want to know how much it had, how much horsepower, because I knew all the specs like when this first came out, and then I've kind of like distanced myself from the Supra because I was like, it's too expensive. Is it really worth it? Is it worth it over the GR86 or the BRZ, which I will talk about? And so I looked at it yesterday, and guys, like I'm telling you, for basically 59 grand, the premium manual transmission 3.0, this is a lot of car for that money, and it's really cool. Like everybody has ad nauseum discussed the B58 engine, and I will simply add my witness to its excellence. Like, it is very good. There's so much power here. Like, it's just astounding, and it just keeps going. Like, the further you put your foot, like, obviously, but like you can like dip into the pedal pretty deep, and it's like a continual increase of a lot of power, not just like even like a little bit, okay, we're getting faster. It's like this thing is a freight train the entire time, and this thing like really rips along below 4,000 RPMs, but boy, it gets exciting above 4,000 RPMs. Like, seriously, like it kind of reminds me in a very small way of my old 2011 WRX that had like the old school 2.5 liter boxer, that like, was it 2.5 liter? I can't remember. Anyway, where the turbo would really only come on around 4,000 RPM. The turbos that are definitely there under that, but like after it, I mean, you can hear them. You can hear them spooling. You can hear all of the mechanicals. It's so cool. It's, oh my gosh. It's so thrilling. Like, it's so thrilling. I will say this too, like, I haven't been in a car in a while that has like pushed me and like poked me, like provoked. That's what I'm looking for. I have not been in a car in a while that's provoked me to drive fast like this. Like, it's been a minute. I don't know if ever. Like this, it really does provoke you to want to go fast all the time, which can be a problem, right? You got to be safe, and you definitely want to protect your license and your insurance costs, but you will want to drive fast in this car. So, which leads me to one of the things I wanted to talk about. First of all, this is great. This is such a great driving car. The handling is like razor. Like, I barely even move the steering wheel like that, and it like darts over. Like, it's so sharp. It's so precise, and this thing just absolutely rips with 382 horsepower. Like, this feels like more than that. I think because it's so small and so light. I mean, it's not the lightest thing, but like, it's small. This is a super small car. I think it's even shorter than like the GR86, which is crazy, which is also a really small car. But this thing, absolutely rips along. I mean, this doesn't feel that much bigger. So I recently, and I just sold a 2022 Mazda ND2, the ND2 obviously, but Miata with the Brembo BBS Recaro package, which was such a blast. Oh my gosh, love that car. That thing is super small though inside. Like, it's very tiny. And this almost feels like that. It definitely has more room than that, but it's so small. Anyway, this is such a great driving car. Like, that dynamically, oh, it is wonderful. So back to what I was saying. It's like 60 grand, right? The GR86 is like 33-ish for premium. And that thing is also a riot to drive. It's so fun. It's definitely not anywhere near as quick as this. But it's really a ton of fun. So what I'm about to say is, if you are concerned, like, you really should like watch yourself if you buy this car. Like, if you're concerned about your own self-control and the speed that you might find pretty intoxicating. Like, it is pretty intoxicating. And you think that might be a problem for you, you might just want to save yourself 30 grand and get yourself the GR86, because it's still so much fun. It still handles really well. I think the manual transmission in the GR86 is better than this. I've heard conflicting things about where this manual transmission came from. Some are like, oh, BMW developed it. Some are like, no, Toyota did. I'm not aware. Regardless of where it came from, I think the transmission is more satisfying, easier to drive, and more fun in the GR86 and the BRZ than it is here. That said, sheesh, it is fun to drive. Like, second thing I want to bring up too is how this compares to the BMW M240i. Exterior styling aside, especially like the front grille, I really liked the M240i, the 2022 that I had with this engine, and it has the ZF. Like, that's basically like a practical Supra, right? I made a video about it. I'll put it up here. That car, I mean, this is definitely more of like a true sports car in its behavior. I feel like the M240i is, especially if it's all-wheel drive too, which is really cool, for like, you know, being a daily driver year-round. That did feel a little more approachable. And what's crazy too, and I can't even really fully explain it, but like the M240i actually, and it must have been because of that transmission, that I really like that ZF automatic. Like, whether you get a Supra with the manual, I don't think you have to get a manual in the Supra to have a lot of fun with it, because that transmission is just so good. But what I was going to say is, I think the M240i, in some ways, in like daily driving, might even feel like faster than this, which is, I know doesn't make a lot of sense, but like it just does kind of feel that way. I love the M240i. You can fit 2 adults in that back seat. Like, it's small, but like you can do it, and it's such a good buy. Like, if you want a Supra or something like it, but something more practical, go check it out. It's way more roomy. The visibility is much better, and everybody's commented on this, and I'll just add my witness again to it. The visibility in this car is not great. Like, these windows are very small. If I had my seat up any taller, my eye line would actually like be like equal with the roof here, the top of the window, which is just, it feels weird. The windshield is like also pretty short, like it's just really small. So like the visibility and like getting in and out, the ingress and egress of this vehicle is not the easiest. Like, you kind of have to like dip yourself in under this to get in. But once you're in here, like, it's pretty comfortable. Like, you know, I just had it in sport mode. I just put it into regular mode. And I've been daily driving this back and forth from work on the freeway around town, and it's been really fun. I think that this suspension is, in its regular mode, like more comfortable than the GR86. The M240i is definitely more customizable in its suspension, steering, and all that. But this, like, as a daily driver, if you live in a climate where you can, this is pretty cool. Next thing that I want to mention is that you are absolutely going to rip through tires so fast with this thing. Like, getting on like an on-ramp, like a long straightaway on-ramp, I'll have it in third gear, already going like 50 or so, and I can mash the throttle, and the back end will still, even at that speed in third gear, will get a little squirrely on me. I 100% would not want to drive this, even with snow tires. There's just so much power. I would be worried about driving this with winter tires. Okay, so those things aside, here's some other just small things to be aware of if you're seriously considering the Supra. The interior is okay. It's clearly BMW. I mean, it says manufactured by BMW inside the door. You can see it, you can smell it. It smells like a BMW, looks like a BMW. I will say this though, this definitely feels on like the very like cheap end of BMW. Like, there are some like creaks like in the plastic if your knee's resting there. Like, it's not bad. The screen's okay. The infotainment is surprisingly kind of frustrating. I've never had like any like user problems with, you know, trying to navigate BMW's infotainment before, and this one, it was challenging to connect Apple CarPlay, and like it's just weird. I just don't love it. Some of the materials again are just kind of cheap feeling, and might kind of surprise you for, you know, 58 grand. So just kind of keep that in mind. And storage is pretty minimal. You're going to have more storage and more space in some ways in the GR86. So again, just keep that in mind. Like, this is like a true sports car, and it does come with some sacrifices. Here's my final thoughts on this. It's 58 grand, which I think is a great deal. And here's why. I think it's a great deal because of the performance you're getting. And it is what, like $25,000 more than a GR86 or BRZ. And those are really good. I like them both a lot. I've owned a BRZ, and they're just so good. What you're getting here though is that engine. And the engine and this suspension and handling tuning it's exceptional. Gosh, I just love the B58. I think that this is one of the best engines, and people are like, it's a BMW, it's not a Toyota, it's not going to be reliable. And I've tried to do some research on that, and from what I can tell, like, Toyota really put this engine through the ringer before they gave it its stamp of approval. Like, just thrashed it, and they made, you know, some minor changes, like, hey, let's do this or swap this out, whatever. But overall, like, I don't think you really need to be worried about this engine. It feels just so good, and Toyota's done their due diligence in creating it, and not creating it, and using it. And I would just trust that and just enjoy it. Just drive the heck out of this thing, because it rips. The last thing only to be aware of, and you'll get used to it within like 2 or 3 days, but coming from a Miata BRZ driver historically, the clutch pedal is so long. Like, it feels like that long, like a foot long that you're pushing it in, which felt weird. But now I'm used to it, it's fine. But it is a little tricky. It's just like, it's a little tricky in the sense to make it smooth with your shifting, especially when the shifter isn't like totally like locked in like the GR86 is. So guys, that's about it. I really love this thing. It's going to be, whoever buys it, you're going to have so much fun with it. Like, I think you shouldn't feel bad about spending 58 grand on one of these if you want to spend 58 grand on it, because again, the shining star here is that engine and the driving dynamics. Like, it's a blast. I just love it. So huge thanks to Toyota for sending this out and having me spend time with it. You can look for my written review on KSL, and we'll talk soon. Thanks. We'll see you.